Hello everyone, today we're going to be learning about arrays in Java. Now what is an array? An array is something that keeps data organized. So for example, if you wanted to create a school, you'd have to have a string value of everyone's name. So it would be student 1, student 2, student 3. However, for an array, we could just create an array of this instead of creating three different students, three different variables. And another plus side for this is we could initialize these arrays in a loop, while you cannot do that without an array. An array could also store multiple types of data such as int, string, long, double, and you could even store objects. Alright, so let's get started with one-dimensional arrays. Now, one-dimensional arrays, or any arrays really, start at the value of 0. So if you were to create an array, say an int array, you would do int and then your brackets, your array name or your variable name, I'm naming it value, is equal to new int, and then you could put your brackets again, and in those brackets you're gonna have to put the array length, as this is static and cannot be changed once it is initialized. So if you have an array of 5, we initialize it here, you would create 5 variables, 5 separate variables. So it would be value 0, value 1, value 2, value 3, value 4. So those are 5 variables starting from 0 to 4. Now you could also initialize these with loops. So here I'm using a for loop to initialize it to its value. So if you look at the table, that should be value 0 is 0, value 1 is 1, value 2 is 2, and etc. You could also declare and initialize your arrays like this. So you have int and then brackets, your variable name is equal to, and then you have your data right there. And the benefits to this is you don't have to create a loop to initialize the values, and also you don't have to declare the size of it. It automatically does that, and this is much faster. Okay, so let's give arrays a try. So we can hop into Eclipse, and in the past project we've created, we create a new class in there called arrays, and we can check this public static void main method and press finish. Now this will basically generate this main method for us, and if you don't have this option, you could type this out by yourself if you do need so. So first, to create an array, you're gonna need your data type. So I'm gonna use int, and then you have your brackets to declare that it's array. Your name, I'm just gonna name it int array is equal to new int, and then your brackets again, and then in the brackets we're gonna have to create, or we're gonna have to say the array length. So I'm just gonna say 10. Next, we're gonna have to create a loop to initialize all the values. So essentially here right now what we have is 10 variables that are all null. So we're gonna create a new loop to try to declare these to a value. So we could create a for loop, and if you don't know anything about loops, I have a video on that and you could check that out. So it would be just an int array.length, and what this will do is it will return 10 as the array length is 10. So what we could do here is int array I is equal to I. So this will essentially set int array 0 is equal to 0, int array 1 is equal to 1, int array 2 is equal to 2, and so on. Now we could also print out this array to make sure it's working. So to print out, we're also going to need a for loop. So we could have for int I is equal to 0, I is less than int array. So basically the same exact loop we have above. Same exact loop, but in the code, instead of initializing a value, we're going to print out int array at I. So if we check this, we should get printed out to 0 to 9. And that's exactly what we get, 0 to 9. Yes, 0 to 9. Now there's also a better way to print out an array instead of using this. So we could comment that out, or you could delete it if you like. And you do for int I, and then your semicolon, and then your int array, or your array. So this will essentially loop through every value of this array you put in and set this to the value or the integer I. So if we check this out, we could print this, and we could print we could just print I, and that should work. And if we run this, we do get 0 all the way to 9. Now, why can't we print out just an array? So let's try just printing out an array like normal. Int array. So let's try printing this out. As we could see, it gives us this value and it doesn't work. So this value is actually the memory where it's stored, or the memory ID where it's stored. So that's why we cannot print out an array like this. We're gonna have to use a loop like this. Now we like to use this loop because it's much cleaner and it's much easier to type than all of this mess. But sometimes you do need to require this type. So what happens if you try to go above the limit 10? What happens if you go 11? So let's try this. Int array 10 at value 10, and this will exceed the limit because we've essentially created 10 variables. However, it starts at 0, so it'll go all the way to 9. So 10 should exceed the limit, right? So we could do is equal to 10. Now if we run this, we should get an error statement. Right, that's exactly what we expected. Error out of bounds. Array index out of bounds. So it's basically telling us that this array is not existing because it does not fit in the array length. So that's basically it for single dimensional arrays.